But as part of that study, he also had calculated the ISRs, which is the impervious surface ratio. So in our last meeting, it was asked that we compare our impervious surface ratio to other municipalities to see if how we compare. So in this memorandum, you're going to see the ISR as the last column, and it includes Bel Air Beach, Town of Bel Air, Bel Air Bluffs, Madera Beach, Reddington Beach, and Reddington Shores. And we are at the 0.65 ratio, so that means 65% of your lot, that is your actual property, can be impervious, which means that it does not allow water to pass through the surface, providing drainage. So if you compare, we're at 0.65, you'll see there are some that do not allow as much, which is, Town of Bel Air and Bel Air Bluffs. Madera Beach is right in line with us, and then we have Reddington Beach that actually allows a little bit more, and Reddington Shores that does not have an ISR, which I believe, we need to maintain an ISR as an important requirement.
Can you speak up just a little bit? I know I'm used to sitting right here.
So we need to maintain ISR. It's an important restriction that we have for each property because, if you were to have 100% impervious on every lot, that would be a major factor for drainage.
No, I agree. I know a lot of people violate it. You could come on neighbors on either side or maybe get 10%, but that's between the driveway and the pool area. There's maybe a strip of grass, but I don't know. Now that we have somebody looking at building plans, I believe they get reviewed.
So if you're doing something new on the property, the impervious surface ratio will get reviewed. So if you're changing around, say, your deck or some other hardscape on your property, then chances are if you are over that ratio, it will be caught.
On existing home, they try to get it.
Yes.
You guys want to have some discussion about this? We went through it a little bit. Didn't the council meet on the last Monday and get rid of the FAR?
So the council did meet and do the second reading for the ordinance that eliminated FAR on the residential low zoning district. And then immediately after, we were able to approve the permits that were on hold for that requirement.
So is this a kind of redundant then if council's already approved eliminating FAR?
Well, right now we're circling back around to discuss the ISR, and if we feel like that needs to change.
Specifically talk about ISR?
Yes.
Okay. So forget about the FAR, it's done. Council took our recommendation. And so the ISR, and everybody understand pervious and impervious. So did anybody want to change what we have? Any input from anybody here?
Who reviews the ISR now? Do you do that?
Well, this is part of the review process. It hasn't been changed since it was established.
But I mean, if you have new plans, who is reviewing it?
It could be either myself or Gemini Engineering. Kobe is the name of our main reviewer.
Okay.
And I guess what I would like a little clarity on, because where it gets confusing is, well, Joe Blow down the street has this, and like you said, your neighbors have that, and then I'm not allowed to do this. How do you address the inconsistencies?
When we analyze a permit, we correct it at that moment when we notice.
I mean, you're not going and knocking on doors and saying, hey.
I haven't.
No.
I guess if we had that directive, we could, but it would
Yeah.
take a long time.
Okay.
So the ones that may be over now are grandfathered in, until they.
More or less until they want to do something that we have to recalculate their ISR.
Yeah, they want to make major changes, then it would be reviewed.
Well, what kind of happened here in history is back in the day we had tract homes here. So like Ruttenberg came in and they followed the rules because the county was really involved with all that. Then there was a gap when probably in the 80s, maybe late 70s, where we had a building official in-house. He was 97. You can see this far in front of him. So he was a approving plans left and right without doing any due diligence. And so there's a gap where a lot of houses got away with a lot of things. So then I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, we brought in a third party that reviews the plans. So that's the gap. And there are a bunch of people that had broke it, but if they ever need to get a big permit, then Kyle said they're going to review on one-on-one basis.
And I mean, I totally understand that, but I think there should, in my opinion, there should be some formality around if it's existing, you're grandfathered in, but if you go to change, then obviously we have to adhere to what it is currently.
Just to be clear, just because you have it now doesn't necessarily mean it's grandfathered in.
No, but I'm asking, that's what I'm asking.
The law is, in Florida is that so long as whatever you did was legal at the time when it was done and the law changes later on, that is grandfathered. But if you do something illegal and it now doesn't get caught, is that grandfathered in when the code changes? The answer is no.
No.
It wasn't legal then, it's not legal now, so it can't be grandfathered.
Perfect. That
So
makes
any of
sense.
these things got done without city review, doesn't necessarily mean it's
And
grandfathered.
has ISR always been the 0.65?
I will verify that, but that's what I understand. When we established it, it's been
Because that eliminates the ambiguity and the gray area in like my eyes when I have people asking, well, why is this house this and why is that house that, right?
Right. And a lot of times with landscaping, because with landscaping, it is one of the exceptions for permits. We ask that if the grading is changed, that the city is notified. But if you are just putting in, say, pavers or cutting out some new garden areas, it doesn't require a permit. But a lot of times with landscaping projects, they add hardscape in areas that doesn't really get caught or calculated. So I think that's kind of how it changes over time.
Because you're only required to get a permit if it's touching the street, correct?
There's the way we word it is all construction needs a permit, and then it calls out specific exemptions for permits in our Chapter 10 building code. So, for example, like the landscaping was an exemption, painting is an exemption, drywall under 100 square feet is an exemption, flooring is another permit exemption. So it's kind of like everything but this is how we address it.
So anybody want to try to change the ISR, or are they fine with where it sits?
No, I think it's the way it is.
This is just a discussion on this, right? But it's already said.
Yes, yeah, we just wanted to look at it and kind of understand it and make if we wanted to make an adjustment or not.
Let me ask you this, as you see a lot of the plans that do come in here, has it been a problem with the current homes being rebuilt and so forth?
The 65% seems like a very reasonable in the middle ask. Sometimes people struggle to get, usually it's about they're at like 70 and they got to figure out a way to come back down. And that's typically what I see. And then a lot of people don't have an issue. They're usually at underneath 40 or hovering around 50, so it's not an
Let
issue.
me throw a scenario. One of the big box houses goes in on a standard size lot, going to put a pool in the back, and going to do a U-shaped driveway.
It's still
Is that
doable.
they're going to fall into the 65?
They can still fall in, but that's where they have to be really critical about where the sidewalks and walkways are and keep it
That's pretty
impervious.
much what's being built here now, so we've got to kind of accommodate them.
Yeah,
So 65 will get that in.
yeah. A lot of
65 is
these.
tough, right? When you're doing just that.
If you're on that, if you're, say you're on a Belle Isle lot or a Donata lot and you got 10-foot side setbacks with a rear either 25 or 30, it's still doable. You just got to pay more attention to where the deck and the walkways are. But that design can be done.
And what about if someone wants to refurbish their existing driveway or a circular drive or making their driveway wider than what it is now? Does that fall in that category as well?
So yeah, if they were going to adjust more driveway, they're going to change it to pavers or expand it. then it would be recalculated for that.
Okay, no, but I'm saying just keeping the space that they have now, and they want to do repaving or
So
concrete.
I do, when we do see just changing out a concrete driveway to a paver driveway, I still do the impervious calculation at that time. If it's like, in
So
the
they
same
have
area.
to see you on that.
Yes, it still requires a permit, we still calculate it.
Okay.
I mean, are we open to raising it to 70? Just to help with, like
If
you
you
said.
suggest that, then we'll beat it up
Your
and we have
recommendation.
make a move on it.
I mean, I would love to see it at 70 personally, just because of the type of construction that is happening, the new construction that's happening now. And if you want to have a circular drive, then it becomes difficult to do so and have a pool.
That's why I threw that out there to see if there's anybody has interest. I'm totally for going to 70 myself, but I just wanted to see what everybody else felt. Because the whole idea of what we're trying to do is to get our property values to always consistently go higher, especially after there's a lot of, we're going to feel it next tax cycle. For all
You
the
think
houses
so?
that- they have to. All these houses are condemned, getting torn down now, so the property taxes are going to drop. So are you going to cut the budget by half? No, you're going to raise your taxes.
Depending on what happens with that, we're gonna have some,
That's what's going to happen.
Figuring
So
it
the
out.
more we can get turning around the other way, we can start try to. It ain't going to happen overnight in 1 year, but if we head in the right direction, we can start to build back our property values higher than they were before the storm.
but one thing just to consider when it, like with flooding and
That's what
impervious
I-
surface, this area does very well when the tides are low and, the rainwater runoff goes right out. But we know that when our tides are up, our valves close, but there's limited capacity for rainwater. So you generally, if you reduce the impervious surface throughout the whole city by 5%, you're going to expect more rainwater to accumulate in streets faster, which will affect times when the water can't go anywhere.
So there's an environmental impact.
Is there a way to put certain sections of the city at different items?
Yeah, that's
Sure,
a good
yeah.
idea.
You could-
Because the north,
do
on this
that.
side of the light, we don't have that problem, other than 18th Street, I think that you're addressing that. And then this side is lower. The developer made this like 6 foot above sea level and that 8.5.
Well, I'm an experience of that, yes. You and I
Yeah.
have discussed before.
There's different conditions of drainage throughout the city.
Mhm.
It
You
tends
go
to be
that way, it
worse
gets
and
bad,
lower
we all know that.
in the
It's
southern
lower,
portion.
it's lower, and it's the drain's below the water,
Right.
so we can't go out until the drain's exposed to air. So
For
but it
more
would-
time.
We could,
Mhm.
I would suggest that to go to a higher would be, the north end would be at the .70 and the back end, the south end's .65.
Can you do that?
You can change it per zoning category, zoning code. That would be my suggestion. Otherwise, you're going to have to create some overlay district that would overlay a certain portion of the city that you could reference, that particular change. My recommendation is that you don't do that. That just creates another level of regulation on anybody that is building their home in the area. So, but it can be done if you want it. Otherwise, I would suggest that you do it by residential category or zoning district.
Okay.
So does anybody else feel the same way Heidi does, that wants to go to 70?
No.
No, I would leave it at
I
65.
think that's the end of the discussion. All right, next one up is, the guy at the end of the table here. It is consideration of having some kind of code revisions on on-street parking. We talked about this last time and we tabled it basically, so, but the whole idea of people thinking about it over the last month and it'd be coming up with any ideas of your own or what your thoughts are. Just open it up. You want to address it first?
Well, I made some copies of a list of things that I presented last meeting. But I just wonder what now the thoughts are that any of you have in regards to what I put.
No, I got it. You got it. I remember most of these you guys put up at the last meeting. But I'd like to hear what everybody else has got to say about it. I know I've spent some time thinking about it.
I liked your suggestion last meeting we had about parking in the marina close to Sand Key. There's a lot of space.
But I've been here forever, just so you know, so it helps. History is, you've seen it. And I grew up here as a little kid, and Ruttenberg was building the beach from the north that way. Most of this was already built. And there was 4 or 5 homes going on every block at a time. Somehow we got here. We're here, and we didn't have to make rules for every little thing we do here. But I could see not eliminating on-street parking. I think that there has to be some rules to it, like don't block somebody's driveway. Definitely not in cul-de-sacs. That's stupid. But I think maybe other things we could look at, and the city attorney would probably have to address this, and you, Kyle, is there's abundance of vacant lots, and tell a builder he may, you know, if there's one within a reasonable distance of his home, to lease that lot from the homeowner with some certs, you know, additionally insured, and then it's a new bid construction in most cases when you're going to have 20 cars out there, vehicles. So they're going to need a lot of parking spaces, and say, approach, I mean, I know the almost every street's got an empty lot right now from the storm. So they at least make them either go to the city marina, or go maybe use some of the slips here, or lease a lot as an alternative. And just say that they have to, you know, supply a cert and an agreement that the city would have to agree to allow empty lots to become parking lots. That part would have to be with.
The code provides for an owner to give permission to anyone to park in a vacant lot, regardless of the arrangement. So that option is available to
Okay, there it
residents.
is. So I mean, that would, and then the worst case is the builder would supply the guy pulls up with his van, unloads his stuff for whatever he needs. Then he goes and puts it in the lot, and the builder leaves a golf cart or whatever, or have one of his foremen run people back and forth with his pickup truck. It's doable. But I mean, that's an alternative. But like I said, somehow we've made it this far without having any rules on telling people. I mean, the last thing you want to do is tell some guy that, hey, this house is going to be building here for the next year. You got to wait till he's done. And that was thrown around last time. You can't just limit. That's some guy bought a lot or do a major construction, had to wait a year to do it. That's not going to fly.
fair either.
That's not going to fly.
Yeah, but a lot of guys also will have tools in their trucks that they may not think that they need at the beginning, but then as the project goes on, they'll say, oh, hell.
But I'm not saying eliminate all the parking. Just say no.
No, I don't.
Just like don't have them lined up all the way down the street on both sides.
Yeah, no.
Right.
Yeah.
Make it reasonable.
Our streets are too narrow for that.
So then the foreman would say, okay, the plumber's he's going to be here today. The AC guy, whatever, the rest of you guys, you go. You stucco guys, you go put your cars down in the lot.
Yeah, unload, yeah, exactly, yeah.
It's
So-
just how you write that up, I don't know, but
Okay, so you're recommending maybe something that specifies who parks or who has priority parking?
that would be just, you just make the rules of how many can park on the street. Like, they can't, there'd be X amount of feet from an entrance to a driveway.
Depends on the street.
It can only be
Yeah.
on the one side of the street. I mean, they can't be on both sides. So if they picked the left side today, then that's the side they're on. If they pick the right side, that's the
Yeah,
side they're
Okay.
on.
yeah. Why, can they use our beach access also with a sticker?
So Morgan Park, we don't typically use as additional parking because it pulls in revenue for the city. It's a high demand, so we tend to go to the marina or the city hall lot.
Bel Air Shore owns the other ones.
Yeah, like at the 6th Street,
That's not
That
ours,
we
that's in
cannot.
other cities.
and well,
We are not
because
allowed to provide.
they're
those.
using that.
That's theirs, that's
They
another
are.
city.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So could we talk to them?
Yeah, could we share?
Is that an option?
This is an unusual
There,
situation.
there's like 5 houses being built now in Bel Air Shores. I don't see, and they can't park on Gulf Boulevard at all, so they're parking somewhere.
There's someone parking with their
Probably right
easements
on the
and other
line.
ones.
They
that
are using
there's
their easements.
vacant lots.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
that's-
when we share
Okay.
it,
But that's up to them.
convenience.
That's
Right.
It is,
We'd have to
Yeah, the
ask.
worst.
they've told us that we cannot. We are trying to work through an agreement where we have set a number of spots that we can depend on. That's been thrown out there as an idea, but we don't have anything formal. And
And when was the last time that was addressed? I mean, this is an
It's kind of an
unusual
ongoing-
situation we have now.
I don't know if us parking our residents for the streets that we're concerned about is going to help using those lots. This issue came up for 4 major projects on Louisa Drive, which is a limited, small side finger street. And we think that there may be a total of 12 to 13 actual spots on Louisa. So you're looking at an average, maybe 3 cars per project, plus whoever has to come in and do work that day, whether it's a landscaper or some other odd job. So
Like
it's
all-
going to be a tight situation. And currently it is kind of a first come, first serve. You can park on both sides of the streets. We do something when limited clearance is created where the emergency vehicles wouldn't be able to pass. That's when we step in and move people.
What about our lot out here? Can they rent lots from us, parking
We
space?
wouldn't.
What I'm suggesting for clarity is to limit how many you're gonna put on a street to begin with, and then not by the body count, but how close you can park to a driveway. So that'll govern itself. If it's a short street, you can't come within 10 feet of a driveway on either side. It's just that maybe 8 on that street, 10 on another, whatever. That just figures itself out. Then the next option they do is they go to free parking down at the marina. Free is the word, but and then if
Is it free?
but if they want
We would
to do better
free for
and closer, more
project.
convenient, they lease a lot. Like at the very end of Louisa, there's a lot. You get right on 22nd. But they cut a deal with that guy that owns that lot and say, whatever it is, $2,000 a month or whatever it is, and give me a cert to cover my liability, and then I got one right around the corner on I guess that's my second. Yeah, so there's
I know,
places
but
to
some
park.
of these lots can become mud pie, you know, with these pickup trucks.
They tend to do okay. They drain
They've-
well.
They've been around a while. Their house used to sit on them, yeah, they're so pretty good. And like, probably leave the driveway still when they tear the house down. But anyways, that's an alternative, so I'd say you start with limiting, have rules on how close you can park somebody's driveway, no cul-de-sacs.
Okay, so we currently have you cannot block a driveway. We do not have that specifies no cul-de-sac parking. So that could be recommended that all cul-de-sacs do not allow parking of on-street parking inside of the cul-de-sac.
Does it have a distance between the driveway and, like, can you park right up to the edge?
It says you cannot block a residential driveway currently, so you
If
could park
anything, I
as
can see
close
it
as.
adding a distance, like a block it up to like 10 feet of it or 5 feet of it, so the guy
That
can
might help.
bend out, or bend in without. And then I'll offer the city available parking at the marina, and then on it, the builder or the homeowner works a deal directly with the guy that owns a lot. And once it's okayed by the city, then the lot owners can leave their name and number up here and say, I'm all right with it, and here's my rate.
So as far as recommendations, you're recommending additional like buffer space with parking in front of a driveway so that it's not, because currently it's do not block. I think that in itself would take care of
Well,
parking.
block whose driveway?
Any of them.
Any of them?
Any
Well, what about
residential.
the property that is being built? Does that come into play
Well,
as
I
well?
think that's fine. I mean, that's,
Yeah,
yeah, right.
okay.
But I'm talking about, like, for instance, if my neighbor down the street's gonna build a new house, I'm gonna have to let him park in front of my house until he gets done. We're all gonna work together.
Oh, yes, I would too.
But
Yeah.
that's just the way it
But
goes.
you
But
don't
not,
block
but
the
not
driveway.
literally block
Yeah,
both
yeah,
sides of my
yeah.
driveway.
That's common sense.
I can't back out, or I do have to band on the street on the other side. So I'd say like leave a 10-foot buffer on each side of the driveway.
Okay.
And you already let them park at the marina, so I mean, you need to make a rule for that, and then and make it okay, for which I think you already said it's okay to use private lots.
Yeah, that's
So
available.
Really, just I'd say no. What we could put together now and maybe get a vote on it is to say no cul-de-sac parking and a 10-foot buffer on either side of the driveway.
Well, I still think that we should be talking also to Bel Shore under these circumstances.
Yeah, but that wouldn't have nothing to do with our rule. But we can always approach it, of
Well,
course.
it would not have anything to do maybe with Lisa Drive.
No, I'm just saying in general, what we're trying to do is get some kind of rule put in the books here and have the council approve it. Then if so if Kyle makes a relation with this Bel Shore on another note to say, here's one more option you have, then that he can pull that off. I mean, that's up
Because
to
you know, these guys, their pickup truck is their baby. So they're not gonna leave that truck if it has a compressor in the back and even leave it at the marina and find out that their compressor is gone. So they want,
I do understand, but we have limited space, so we're gonna have to ask
Yeah,
them
yeah,
to
yeah,
do
figure it
things they
out.
don't normally do.
let them figure it out then.
Yeah.
Does anybody like that 10-foot buffer and no cul-de-sac? Want to make a motion for that, or
I agree, motion.
second?
What about this suggestion number 4, that they have some sort of identification in their vehicle that they're approved, like they can be there?
Well, that's a problem the police have, because they don't know who works for who, whether it's a resident's car or there's someone. So the only way they can identify them, to leave them alone or not ticket them, is to have some identification in the window or on the car, magnetic sign or whatever. That was something one of the officers had a while back. How do we identify a car without any identification? Who's it belong to?
Can the city provide a sticker of some sort?
I think it wouldn't be unreasonable for situations like this, to provide like mirror hangers or something
We have
that tied to the
contractor
permit.
provides
Yeah, I think the
to the
contractor.
worker.
I mean, a lot of the guys are just laborers' cars, so they're not going to put a sticker on their car.
No, not a
And magnet.
sticker. I'm just saying
but-
something.
But as far as the actual contractor, I'm sure he's proud to have his name on the side of it, so I think it would be redundant anyways, but the laborers are not going to have that on there. But if you want to have the contractor pick up some mirror hangers, you know, so
Yeah,
they're allowed.
I think that would be a nice convenience.
Okay, so I think it could work, but we would have to have code that, specify that we would do that.
You want to jump
Can I
in
make a
here?
suggestion? We had
Sure.
a situation in our town, Connecticut. What we did was the contractor was required to come to the town, got one permit, a placard, put on the dashboard. Contractor was required to make copies for his contractors, and they would put them right on their dashboard, and then the police would know where they're working.
Works.
That's
and what
easy.
There you go, you give it to the
house.
GC.
Same thing, they just have.
And then
they
they-
pay-
Also,
they
they
pay
they're
have
their
a
responsible.
duration
Easy
period
and
on the
straightforward.
permit that would only last, for instance, a week. And if the week expired, the contractor, the general contractor would have to go back into the town and get another permit to extend it.
All right, well, I appreciate that. So, anybody want to make a motion on this whole subject?
Doug, before you go into the motion, could I say something?
Sure.
All right, the problem comes with our streets, even though we're allowing parking, or you want to allow parking, it's the trailers that are 8 foot wide, or almost 8 foot, and it's the dually trucks. If you have a dually on both sides of the street, you're not going to get a garbage truck down the street, that's twice a week. And you're not going to get an ambulance down the street if anybody needs one. So it's kind of, if you have a car on either side, if it's a Toyota, mine, or small one, when you get these larger trucks or trailers that are parked all day long, that's where the problem occurs. So that's why it was suggested that BJ and I came up with some ideas. They have either parking on one side or the other.
Yeah, I know
So,
Kyle.
then you can park the trailers and you can park the wheelies on one side. It allows you enough room to get a
Yeah.
service vehicle, emergency vehicle, or fire department down the street. Otherwise, you're done.
I read all these, and you put a lot of energy into it, and we do appreciate it. But the one thing is, we're going to make so many rules, there's
Doug,
no way
believe me, I
anybody's going to
know.
enforce it.
Yeah,
If
they're
it
not
wasn't
gonna
for,
wanna come and work here.
Well, it's just
bad
no way
enough as
that
it
our
is.
code enforcement guy can keep up with that.
You can't do everything.
Right, I'd want to simplify, maybe if we tweak it down the road, but I think buffering for the entrances is a start, cul-de-sacs, obviously that's a no-brainer. And I think Kyle had mentioned that the code enforcement does see if it's, you can't get through, he's got to get out and find the guy, hey, you got to move your truck. I mean, so that's kind, and they're out, the code enforcement guy is out there working. He visits all the
We had
time.
an incident here just last week. We had a delivery truck delivering stone on one side and a dually on the other, and a guy with a semi trying to get through. Couldn't do it. So the semi couldn't get through with a fire truck. He had an emergency. Anybody had a heart attack. You and I are getting older, subjected to all this stuff. So you never know. We fall down, we get hurt. That's the main concern, safety. For either the contractors or the residents. The decision has to be made. How far do you want to go? That's why all those things are put on that list, just to create a conversation so you come up with a plan that makes sense. Because, yeah, all these, I agree with you. All these rules and regulations are just going to deter people from doing anything. And that you don't want to do. And now we're in a time period where there's going to be work done on every street in the city for the next 2 to 3 years, just to recoup from the storm. So, we've got to come up with a plan that works.
Yeah, I think what we're talking about now is a good start, and then we can go add on to it as if we feel it's necessary. But I think Louise is obviously it's a tough street. There's no doubt about it.
Another home went down last week, and we got one coming up. Kyle knows the schedule, and they know that's going down. Is that another week or two?
We got the permit, I don't have the exact date. I would imagine soon, they're usually quick on that.
Once we pass this rule, you can't park within 10 feet of driveway. They're just going to have to go find a place to park, and we're going to give them alternatives.
So then only parking on one side.
Because how are you going to enforce that though? Maybe Kyle, how would you do that?
Signage.
We would have to
Odd
change our
even
signage.
days, right?
What's that?
Odd and even days.
You could, but let's say you just call your AC guy out because your AC's not working. Who's going to keep track of the odd and the even? And then if you do pick just one side, that guy's not going to be happy on that side of the road when the other side doesn't.
It's just part of doing
I
business.
don't know, just.
I mean,
I'm trying to eliminate
how
how
do
many
things
rules.
get done in urban areas, right? Like where there are no lots to move your cars to. You have to build in urban areas. So if you do like odd on one day, even on another day, and it's the responsibility of either the contractor or the homeowner to let their tradespeople know today's an even day, you park on this side of the street. And it just becomes part of how we function, because like when I have tradespeople come to my house, I let them know that you're not allowed to park in the street here, so if you can fit in my driveway, great, and if not, we're gonna put a little sign in your window saying that you're working at my house to try to make it easier.
If you got something you want to motion, then we can.
I'm just throwing that
I
idea
hear you.
out there,
I hear you.
right? So that, because you are, in my opinion, 100% right, it is safety, and I would hate, God forbid, something to happen to somebody and emergency people couldn't get to them. That sounds horrible.
It's the issue of safety for contractors or residents. So come up with some kind of a plan.
So this is not just for construction, this is for the lawnmower people,
Any
for-
service.
Yeah.
My only concern with odd and even is you're going to be reducing available parking spots on every street by half on any given day. And we already know how it kind of is. Even when you're properly parked up and down, maintaining space, it still gets pretty far away from where people want to park.
Have homeowners come and complain to you?
About this
All the
issue, a
time.
lot, yes.
All the time.
But contractors complain, homeowners complain, all sides.
I like all of the suggestions so far, except for the odd and even days. I think that's gonna be confusing for a lot of people, homeowners and, what days.
I think we'd have to put signage on every street too for everyone.
And that's
to know
gonna be a
that.
cost.
When we went through that phase about 20 years ago, we put signs up for every rule, and it made us not look like a very nice city.
Yeah.
It was
I
terrible.
remember
I think that's
It
crazy.
looked bad. So we've removed a lot of them.
I would think it would replace our current on-street parking signs. I don't think it would add to signage, but there would be a change out. There we go.
Anybody get any motions?
I motion to move on to another subject and address this at a later date again if necessary.
Let me throw it out there. Maybe you want a motion for more discussion. Table
Yeah,
it again.
I just want to see if anybody else wants to motion anything right now. Looks like it's going to be tabled again.
No, there was a motion to table and there wasn't a second, so it died for lack of a second.
Okay.
If there's someone who wants to make a second to that motion, you can vote on it. Otherwise, the motion does not pass.
I second.
There you go. Now we're tabled.
Now you take a vote on it, Mr. Chair.
Start with you.
Yeah,
You can just do a voice vote. All in favor?
all in favor?
Well, I'm not in favor
I'm
of
in
the table,
favor.
so
I'm not in
I'm a nay.
Okay, well, I'm an A too then.
What are we,
So the motion is to table this discussion. The chair is saying he votes no on the motion, so it's not going to be tabled. Now we need the rest of you to vote.
so it is gonna be on for discussion again?
You decide if you want to table it or not, and then make a vote.
Table it to discuss it later, or
Yes,
table it?
table it for the future.
If we table it, my goal is to get our recommendations to the city council, planning the January work session, so
That's why I don't want to table it. But
prefer not to table. If we have recommendations or at least a direction that we want to recommend to city council, I think that would be preferable.
Why don't we start with 2 baby steps, 2 motions of how we want to handle Louisa or any other street. And then we can, as things come up and change, we can talk more about it. Louisa's very unique. It's not anything like our street. We've got a house that's being raised across the street. Really no problem with all the workers that are there. I don't know where all their cars are. They were pouring concrete till 10 p.m. one night, and one of the neighbors went down and said, "Can you please stop?" And they did. So every situation's going to be a little different. I don't think we are going to be able to make hard, fast rules. But maybe 2 motions at this time to ease a little of Louisa's problem, and then we can discuss more.
circling back to what I just said, I'd like to see at least put a buffer on either side of the driveway, no parking in the cul-de-sac. If we get that ball rolling, get the council thinking about the problem, then if just get that going. And then if that's not working, then we can readdress it, because we're just going to keep cabling. We're going
Okay,
nowhere.
I make a motion
We already have a
to-
motion on the floor. It hasn't been
Okay.
voted on yet. So if you need to do a roll call vote to get
Right.
your vote done, so you want to do a roll call vote? This is the motion to table this
Table,
discussion
right.
to another date.
Yeah. Motion.
We're going to get a roll call.
Board Member Brenda Bonasera?
I think we should come up with 2 ideas at
It's
this
either
meeting.
yes or no on the vote. You need to vote.
No, you don't want to table it.
I don't want to table it. We need to move forward.
Member Angela Berry?
No.
Member Heidi Joy?
No.
Member Luke Boydowing?
No.
Chair Doug Prescott?
No. Now, do we have a motion for something we want to vote on?
Okay, I make a motion for your baby step of no parking in the cul-de-sac and 10 feet from a driveway.
I agree.
That's a second, so let's vote on it. All in favor?
In favor?
Aye.
Yes.
All right. There we go. Good job.
Wow.
All right, next up. Consideration of code amendments allowing boat lift covers on docks. Discussion of possible updates to permit installation of boat lift covers. May I ask where this came from?
There was a permit request or application that kind of just came out of the blue, but this is not something that's unusual. We get these periodically. People just don't know they're not allowed to have an accessory building outside of, or detached building outside of the allowed shed. And this falls within that.
Did you all look through the pictures on the back
Yes.
of the packet, what it would look like? The picture says a million words.
We included, if you get to item 5, page 1, we included 3 separate examples of code that does allow covered boat lists. One's from the county, one's from Bel Air Bluffs, and the other is from City of Clearwater. And Bel Air Bluffs and City of Clearwater use very similar, the exact same words for their 2 subsections where they talk about boat lists. And then one thing I noticed was the county's code, which I think is important. All roof designs must be conform to the Florida Building Code. That is a must for all safety concerns, protection, and wind protection. So that, I believe, if we were to consider this, is very important. And then the county also specifies that the catwalks that are in conjunction with the boat lifts have stringers bolted to the pilings. That means that they actually have a bolt fitted all the way through the piling, attaching to the stringer. I guess that's just a clarification for the support that they want to see provided. And then if you look at the examples from Bel Air Bluffs and Clearwater, they specifically call out that you can't have a canvas or canvas-like material and no coverings on the walls, so only overhead cover is.
Where is this picture taken?
Those were provided from a resident who submitted the application.
Island Estates.
And these are examples of, nice newer quality lifts that are similar to what they were applying for.
It's a two-sided thing. If it's yours and behind your house, it's really cool. And your boat don't get smoked by the sun, and you can make it look great. But as far as your neighbor on either side that wants to look down the canal,
They're screwed.
he ain't seeing anything. So it's like where they got them in Bel Air Bluffs. It's primarily just a bluff view drive, so all the houses are facing shooting west. So
Yeah, but their lot size are a lot
you
bigger
go on,
than
you go on
ours.
the
too.
when you go on the fingers, they don't have them. So, but we have like the big ones looking that way, and in Harbor View Lane, there's some on once again the same type looking west. So and then Clearwater Beach, they're Bay Esplanade, I believe, or whatever the main stretch is. They're looking east, but they're not. Everybody's looking to look out the water, not looking to look down that way. But if you're in a
Well, it's
cove
very
or canal,
different
you're
depending
like
upon
this.
the water that they're
What's that?
on. It's very different depending upon the water that they're on, and Island Estates is a good example of tighter water and what that looks like in someone's backyard when there's a bunch of, I call them boathouses, that are out there. Like you said, it's fine for you and your boat, but then if you don't have one and you're trying to look and you don't have any water view anymore, that's when it becomes an
Right.
issue.
Yeah, I think you'd make more people upset than happy with doing these things. That's just my opinion.
And I don't know if
personally
it's like a wishy-washy thing to, if you're on more open water, you can do it. If you're on water that you have land directly across from you, you can't. If that's too,
I agree.
Can't you just
I
say
agree
no
with
co-
that, too.
no coverings?
So I was shocked.
So that's how it is currently.
No coverings.
No overhead cover allowed.
Keep it that way.
yeah.
No exception.
I'm not looking to move forward with it. Does anybody? I think
Jim
we
can
can
speak.
Sure.
Yeah, well, so he's the one who applied.
Okay.
Mr. Rachel.
I'd like to hear it.
So the request is, yes, and I do live around the water, so I do have a tremendous amount of water. And for us, it's not to the sun and all the, bird rock, all the horrible things we have to deal with. But, I mean, yes, I used to live in Island Estates. I had a boat up there, lived up there. And it becomes a, like, I guess you say, up and down the channel, sure, you see a lot of boat covers. I feel like down here we are a little bit more open down. And I'd like to see the city consider, and I don't know how you can word it, additions, be it water, be it whatever. I do know there's a line of sight requirement. I believe is that county driven?
I think it's county, I have to check.
Yeah, there is a line of sight, so that if either of your neighbors feel that it's a little bit too obtrusive to their view, then they would have an opportunity to say no or to ask that it be maybe a way out. I know when I lived in out in the States, all that is governed, obviously by just the county. And they're just, I don't want to say they stamp them through, but there's so many of them now that I don't know that they ever really slow down the process. But I think with our town, the city will allow, maybe under certain circumstances. I mean, if you're at the beginning of what I'll call a canal beside, so a water cul-de-sac, probably putting a boat lift cover there may or may not be, in best interest of the city or of the residents around. But like I said, with less than water, what the difficulty in that would be. Because the thing is nowadays with the boats getting in boats, and people are putting them up in the air anyway. I don't know what the view is of a great want. So
It almost seems like it'd come down to a case-by-case basis, and it'd almost go back to
well, the way our
adjustments.
code is written, it's any outbuilding or any additional color.
Right.
Yep.
So it's that keeps the guy from putting a lot more shit in that whatever. And I
It's general, right?
yeah, I respect that. But I would wonder, can we maybe move forward, and especially nowadays, those of us that do have the space to build, put in the bigger lifts and have the bigger boats, could we contemplate allowing those covers to be installed? Because as you said, I mean, we could make it look really nice, and we're using it for protection of our boats.
Well, I got a boat, and I don't like it getting spider cracks in it.
Well, and you try to come up with these big covers, and the canvas covers, and I would almost argue that those are more aggravating to look at than having a nice, built structure
Aesthetic look, yeah.
over the boat.
We have had calls asking about general boat covers, and people are allowed to cover their boats.
There's a company that's probably more than one, but I don't know one in particular. They're located on Cape Coral, and they do a really good job of convincing homeowners that the city cannot keep you from covering your boat. So they're the ones that sell those prefab bow top covers, with a canvas piece in there. And they say, oh, well, here comes a hurricane, we'll just go pull all the bungee cords out and let the cover go. Well, I personally, I found it deplorable. And trying to put one of those up in even an 80-mile-an-hour gust coming across the intercoastal, that's not going to stay there.
No, it's not.
So my experience when I did mine before, they do have to be engineered, they have to be approved. It's all the same when loading is any of the new homes being built out here. So anyway, that's my pitch. I would ask that the city consider it, and maybe on a case-by-case basis. I don't know how you maybe govern that other than to use the line of sight deterrent if somebody is in an area where you rapidly not.
Yeah, it kind of goes back to what the city attorney told us, if we segment it for like only this section of the city and that city, it can be done, but it sounds like it's just a lot of work and not more regulations. But I hear you on it. If you're on that open water here to, I guess, what, 2nd Street, it's the same as across here at Harbor Bluffs or Bellevue Drive. But if you're in a cove, which we have a lot of them, then that would just, you wouldn't work. You have a lot of upset
Oh my
neighbors.
God, they would raise hell.
It wouldn't work.
I mean, I could
But
see.
then you got the thing I've been pushing for is to have each neighbor sign off on a variance. At least you get them happy, but somehow that disappeared here in the city. Why? So we'd love to see that back. I think that's going in front of the council.
That was one of your recommendations.
Yeah.
I mean, these pictures are
So
attractive.
from a technical standpoint, if it was on a case-by-case basis with both side neighbors approving, what would that look like to what has to be done to our codes and our written documentation? Like, obviously, no one is gonna say yes on a narrow strip of water, they're just not. But on open water, if your neighbors are in agreement with you doing that, what would that have to do procedurally for that to happen on a case-by-case
You get
basis?
a attorney probably answer, but you have to get go to the Board of Adjustments and get a variance.
Okay,
That would be the procedure we used to. Kyle may differ with me on this, but we used to have to get required to get a signature from each neighbor, and we actually had a form here for that. And that's, you couldn't move forward unless you had that, and that stopped it right then. And so, I'm trying to get that back in, so we don't want to, somehow that disappeared, and that would be the start, and then it would be considered by the Board of Adjustments, which is similar board to this, like this, and they vote on to allow it or not allow it, and they advertise it for 20 days, I believe, in advance, to let anybody in the neighborhood who would object at least know about it. And then there's a sign put in the yard, so they try to, the city does their best to let people know there's somebody trying to change the rules for them only.
The variance process isn't really meant for doing that, you know, because once you open the door, then everyone's probably going to want to apply
Yeah.
for a variance.
That's right.
Yeah. Now, from the photo here, I see one is closer to shore, the other one is further from shore. Would there be a restriction that it has to be as close to the seawall as the lower picture versus the upper one? I think that it's actually attractive. Looks good, looks very clean, and it gives a good purpose. But yet, if I was a neighbor, I might object to that.
Yeah, and your neighbors may move.
Yeah,
Or you may have a crazy neighbor.
yeah.
Once again, I live in a cove, I'm down the end, and for me to really see the intercoastal, I have to look across all the docks. And if I had to look across one of these, it's not gonna happen.
Okay.
It'd make my property less valuable.
Yeah,
That's right.
Exactly,
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So that's my point of view. It'd have to be, I think, on a case-by-case basis, and so that you have open water, and both your neighbors love it, and maybe two more neighbors love it, and you're fine, and you know what I mean? I think that would be the situation, not to change the entire code of the city or whatever.
Right.
And if we segmented it into certain sections, that would be something that like Kyle would probably do some homework on, and then come back to us with it.
How many requests have you received for this, about this?
I would say maybe 5, about 1 a year. And most people know. But, you know, new people move here and have no idea that they can't do it.
Yeah.
So they are surprised.
All right, well, I think we're just gonna move on from that, but talk about new people moving here. And I think Heidi had even agreed with me that your property value goes up when you have Dog Beach. You know, I'd put it back on here just to drive it home again. I'd really like to see some kind of situation where we can at least have part of the beach allowed with dogs. And Hooper Scooper works really great on the streets. I'm sure, you know, they work on the sand as well. People move to where you can have your dog on the beach.
So, Mr. Chair, can we just back up? I don't know if there was any formal decision on the last agenda item. You said that you didn't want to move forward. Is there a consensus on the board to either table this matter or not to approve it? Or, I mean, what's the direction of the board? That we need to create our
I
minutes.
thought when it's not even something, it's just a suggestion what we think about it. So I think it says consideration. But so, anyways, if you guys, anybody want to make a move to allow the dogs with coverage,
If there's no motion, then we just can move on. But if there is a motion,
no.
I thought that's what I just did. Just moved on. But anyways, you guys want to move on?
Yeah. Move on.
Yes.
okay. So there's no motion for that. So that discussion results in non-action, no action
Right.
on the boat lip covers. Okay. All right. I just want to make sure that I'm clear on the
I was
notes.
going off with body language too. But,
Okay, I understand.
Right. So anyways, back now. Go to item number 6, consideration of regarding dogs on the beach. I brought it up last time. We got 2 yeas and 3 nays.
Well, how many miles is our beach? How long is our beach? Because
little over a mile.
obviously we have restrictions because of our shores, right?
Right. Give you an example, Clearwater Beach, you're not gonna have your dog, Fido's not gonna be at Pier 60. But if you go down by the Palm Pavilion and go north, and that's where really nice streets start popping up, Carlisle and so forth, your dog can be there as long as you're on a leash. Some cities don't require leashes, I think a leash would be good.
Oh, I think they
Yeah.
should be on the leash.
And then you
of
got your
course.
bag and your scooper and do your thing. But trust me,
But we're gonna have
people
to
do.
put in pooper station.
You
You know,
have a dispensary.
actually, I was on a cruise in the beach where they actually had station dispensing poop bags and also a container to put them in afterwards.
You know, it'd be required, we put it in there, required to have a bag with you.
And if they don't, what's the fine?
I don't know, let's see if we
$250.
get any traction or anybody who even wants to go
We're gonna
further
have a
with it.
pooping police.
So I have a question. What do you think about certain hours that dogs would be potentially allowed on the
I'm
beach?
open for whatever we can get.
You know, early morning walks with your dog on the beach, or like early in the morning or at the end of the day versus midday. So like if you want to go to the beach without a dog, you still can, and that is a time period in the middle of the day. I'm just trying to throw
Yeah,
out
yeah, some
different
kind of-
ideas. Dogs are allowed from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m.
I think it's a great idea, any idea that's better than what we got. But I just want to see if we have anybody that has interest at all.
I say no.
We got a no.
No dogs on the beach.
We got 2 no's. We're still where we were.
No.
So we will move on from this one. Does everybody agree?
Yep.
All right, now it looks like any additional recommendations come in today?
I don't have any additional. I did add the bamboo recommendation from the last meeting and to our recap. But that was the only addition.
We already voted on that, right? To put it in front of
We did.
council?
We recommended to outlaw bamboo citywide. And that was the only addition since the last meeting, summarizing the additional recommendations beyond the drafts that were presented.
Do we have a copy of that here?
It should be in your packet on item 6, page 1.
But that's not on here, though, right?
It should be in your packet. Yeah.
So what do you want us to do?
I
Item
say
6.
no.
Just, you just want to review, it's just a recap.
Right.
I put it back on there, added what we recommended for bamboo, just as a summary at the end of the meeting.
What? I
So
can't find
you should have, it looks like this,
I
flip
get
down
it.
to the bottom of your pile, possibly.
it. Yeah, but anyways, what?
So
approved that, right?
it's the same document that was provided last meeting.
Right.
And I added a highlighted,
Oh, it's not. I don't really have it. So, anyways, I got it now. So we're gonna add, this is at the end here, green. So you want us to approve how you read this?
so I just want to provide this again. This is a list of all the recommendations we are taking to city council.
Oh, okay.
And the only addition from the last meeting is section 94-69, the green yard landscaping, where we identified that we want to outlaw bamboo species.
Right. And we already said add
Yes.
this, so this is just our
This is
list that we
a
worked
list.
on.
Summarizing.
So, everybody agree with adding that to the list?
I agree.
Yes.
There we go.
Yeah, just wanted
I
to
just have a
review and
question.
see if we had anything else.
How does it affect the people that already have it? Are they going to be made to remove it?
That is, you guys could recommend that, be for council to decide if
So
they agree.
legally, right, it was allowed before, and they planted it. So legally, then it's okay for it to still be there. We're not going back to people that have it and saying that must be removed now because moving forward, it's not allowed.
So if it was legal before and they have it in place, then it would be grandfathered in. The question is I've never researched that issue. You have grandfathered uses, grandfathered structures. I've never heard about grandfathered landscaping. So I think I would need to research the answer to that question. My first thought was if they've already had it and they planted it when it was legal, they should be able to maintain it and keep it. Just not allow bamboo to be placed in the future.
All right. Okay,
But I-
that's what I
Or
wanted,
adding,
I wanted
or
clarity
adding
on.
to it.
Or added, yes.
Yeah.
I'll need to research that.
Grandfathered plants.
How much bamboo do you got?
I have none, so.
So I guess it's the motion to adjourn then, right?
So this doesn't change the one we had where we followed the state recommendations for invasive plants?
No, that is
It's
still,
just adding
that is
to
still the
that.
list as, specified in our code, and that can change as the state updates it. And this would be to add it to, in addition to that list on our own accord as the city.
Motion to adjourn.
Adjourn.
Second.
Do we have any other things we need to set another date on, or are we all caught up?
I believe we're caught up until something else is presented
Until
right
tomorrow.
for this meeting, this board to meet on.
You all have good holidays.
You too.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you, happy holidays.
You're leaving on vacation, huh, Kyle?
Yeah, Thursday I'm flying. So
Had a
excited.
great time.
And your location is?
At the end of 8th,
Okay.
What is the rule of thumb for state of 20?
Are we all set?
I think so, yeah.